To talk more about it, senior staff writer at The Hill, Alex Bolton. Alex, hello to you. So
Hi.
I think it's important to reset. He's got these 3 felony gun charges, as Kelly just so eloquently laid out, after his plea deal fell apart in the summer. Remind people why that plea deal on both gun and felony tax charges fell apart in the final hour.
Well, part of the issue is there was some outside political pressure from the Republican chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, who sent a letter to the judge, Mary Ellen Noreko, challenging the plea deal with the prosecutor as a sweetheart deal. And so when the plea deal was about to be finalized, the judge engaged in a pretty aggressive interrogation of the prosecutors and the defense counsel to see if, what they understood about this plea deal and whether it would protect Hunter Biden from future prosecution. Defense said it was their understanding that the plea deal would protect Biden from future charges, whereas the prosecution, David Weiss, the U.S. attorney, said no, it wouldn't. And that was the disagreement that caused the deal to fall apart. And now the defense is taking a very hardline approach, or maybe hardline isn't the right word, but they aren't giving any ground to the prosecution, and now they're contesting all the claims. So that's why it's going to trial now.
Right, and it has become highly political. We've seen the hearings. Merrick Garland, as recently as 2 weeks ago, testifying about the investigation from the DOJ. Hunter had planned to plead guilty on the tax charges. Is there still a chance he could be charged, or has the statute of limitations expired?
Well, the prosecution is weighing it now. Weiss, the U.S. attorney, he has since been elevated to special counsel. So now he has the freedom to bring these charges in either California or Washington, D.C. But the problem there is that, those are pretty liberal jurisdictions. So you might wind up with a judge or jury that could be quite sympathetic to Hunter Biden. So, and it's going to be a very complex case. Tax cases always are. This gun case is much more straightforward. So it's no surprise that that's what he's focused on right now. And I think it depends how it goes. If he loses, he may think twice about going further with the tax charges.
Right, and straightforward, but his attorney's arguing the statute that he's charged with violating, a ban on gun possession for drug users, is unconstitutional. Explain how so.
Well, there was a recent Supreme Court decision in 2022, New York Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruin, where the Supreme Court held that any restrictions on gun ownership have to be consistent with the Second Amendment's tradition of protecting firearms rights. Now, analysts have taken that to mean that possibly the federal prohibition on people who are addicted to drugs owning firearms could, in fact, be constitutional. Now, that is sort of what Abby Lowell, Hunter Biden's lawyer, is hinting at, but he can't say it quite yet because the court hasn't yet. No court has definitively struck down the prohibition on drug addicts from possessing firearms. Now, I think where they do have Hunter Biden on sort of solid charges is that he did lie in the federal forum, and then 2 of those charges are related to him misrepresenting his addiction to drugs on the federal firearms forum when he bought the Colt Cobra.
One other issue, Alex, for the prosecution, can they establish that he was actively using drugs during that time that he signed the forms? Will that be difficult to prove?
Well, not really, because in his memoir, Biden admits to being addicted to drugs at that time. So that's not what's being contested. What's being contested is Biden's defense team is claiming that the prosecution signed off on a plea deal that would enter him into a diversion program, that he wouldn't face any jail time. And so they say that the prosecutors already signed off on it. The deal's in effect. That's the primary defense. And the secondary defense is that this is a violation of Biden's constitutional rights. But the facts of the case, that he was addicted to drugs at the time he owned this firearm, that's not being contested.
Understood. What's the White House saying, Alex?
Well, they're staying very quiet about this. This is something that they don't want to weigh into. They don't want to get involved. Now, the irony here is that if the president's son is, if he gets off on these charges because of this Supreme Court case that essentially expanded the power of the Second Amendment, something that Biden criticized at the time, if his son ends up being the first person in the country to benefit from that Supreme Court decision, that'd be quite ironic. I think the president realizes that there are lots of conflicting impulses here, and that it doesn't look good for him one way or the other to weigh in, other than to say that he loves and supports his son. But beyond that, the White House doesn't want to get into any more detail or any more specific defense of Hunter Biden.
Finally, Alex, not guilty, not a surprise during today's arraignment, a trial still possible. What's the next step here? When will Hunter Biden be back in court?
Well, that's going to play out over the next few weeks, and we'll see if there's maybe a second stab at a plea deal. But right now, I think what Hunter Biden is signaling quite clearly is that he's going to fight this to the hilt, and it's not going to be an easy case for the prosecutor.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.